What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cab Show. NFL Conference Championship playoffs are here. Only 4 teams left in the NFL. What a season. What a 2022-2023 NFL season. It's been amazing. But let me start off with the NFC Championship game. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this game is going to be epic. I think it's really a coin flip. Even though the Philadelphia Eagles are 2.5-point favorites, which they really should be, right? I mean, with the season they had, they did great. The number 1 seed in the NFC. So many great things Jalen Hurts did this year. It's been amazing. And then you have the San Francisco 49ers, who are on a 12-game winning streak. They haven't lost since they got Christian McCaffrey. And I think McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are the X factor for San Francisco offensively. No, not rookie quarterback Brock Purdy. I don't think he's the X factor. I think the playmakers on San Francisco are going to make a huge impact in this game and really determine if they're going to win or lose this game. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to come down to the game-winning field goal on whoever has the ball last. It's going to be this great. It really is. And I think Brock Purdy this year, the last pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, Mr. Irrelevant, all of a sudden he's in this spot where it's like he's 1 win away from making a Super Bowl. 2 wins away of becoming the first rookie quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. There's some history here. That is crazy. And what's even more crazy is Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts played against each other in college in 2019. It was Oklahoma versus Iowa State. Oklahoma and Jalen Hurts ended up winning the game 42-41. Both quarterbacks snapped off. Brock Purdy had like 6 touchdowns, and then you had Jalen Hurts snapped off for Oklahoma. It was awesome. It really was, and nobody really heard of Brock Purdy before. We heard of Jalen Hurts. He went to Oklahoma. He was a stud. But really, Brock Purdy was just like I said, Mr. Irrelevant. Nobody really heard of him. And then this matchup right here, I think this is the best game all weekend. I think it's better than the Bengals-Kansas City game. I really do. Even though there's a lot of story behind that, I just think San Francisco right now, I'm going to go with my gut and stick with the San Francisco 49ers to win this game. I think the X factor, like I said, is Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and then you also got Elijah Mitchell coming in. You got Brandon out in the receiver. Then you got George Kittle, and I think George Kittle, another X factor player right here. He's a playmaker, and I think that's the reason why they beat the Dallas Cowboys last weekend was because of George Kittle. That one catch where he bobbled it and caught it. It's just all these things start to add up. Kittle this year, 11 touchdowns. Brock Purdy, 13 touchdowns, only 4 picks. I'm telling you, this is going to be epic. And then you got San Francisco's defense, who's great, giving up about 17.5 points per game. And then you got the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I think it's just as great, if not better, only giving up 7 points allowed per game, and they're averaging 28 points a game, whereas the 49ers are averaging about 26.5 points a game. So the edge is definitely the Philadelphia Eagles. It's in Philly. They've had probably the better season, but I think the hottest team right now is definitely the San Francisco 49ers. 12-game win streak on the line right now. Rookie Brock Purdy's playing fearless, playing like on a house money, essentially, where it's like he didn't really buy in. Like the house kind of bought him in. He was supposed to lose. He was supposed to fail. He wasn't even supposed to be here. Come to find out, Brock Purdy's really a baller. He's legit. He's played against Jalen Hurts, like I said, back in 2019. Like, there's a lot of history here. This is going to be an epic day, but I think, Philly, they win the game if they really stick to what they know. And that's Jalen Hurts playing great, playing mistake-free. And then you got Miles Sanders, a great running back, 11 touchdowns this year, over 1,200 yards rushing. And then A.J. Brown, 11 touchdowns, about 1,500 yards receiving. And I think A.J. Brown is the X factor for them offensively. Not Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown has to get involved in the game early. He's going to have to snap off just like he did mostly this year. This whole season, A.J. Brown has snapped off. Yes, there's some games where he's been quiet, but I think this game right here, Jalen Hurts has got to get A.J. Brown effective, man. He's got to get him active. He's got to throw him targets. I'm saying like 10-plus catches this game, really. And then you got Devontae Smith, 7 touchdowns this year, almost 1,200 yards receiving. Same thing with Devontae Smith. These guys got to get active. And I think Philadelphia and their defense is great. And their special teams is great. They have great coaching staff. So I think the Philadelphia Eagles, if they come with a great game plan and say, look, we got to put pressure on Brock Purdy. We got to make him force it to bad throws, interceptions. That's what we're going to have to do to win this game. If not, Brock Purdy, if he has a lot of time in the pocket, you got Kittle, Deebo Deebo McCown. There's so many star players that can really affect you, and I think if that happens, if Brock Purdy starts to get comfortable, starts to get a really flow of the game, and just really plays mistake-free, I think San Francisco's going to win this game. Now, Eagles are going to have to put pressure. Same thing with the 49ers. They're going to have to put pressure on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the type of quarterback to say, if you don't have a QB contained and everyone's covered, Jalen Hurts can run for 15, 20 yards, get the first down, play smart, don't take a big hit, stuff like that. So I think Jalen Hurts is definitely one of those quarterbacks that is going to really probably play the better game here. I think so. I think he's going to have a better game than Brock Purdy. On the flip side, that doesn't mean he's going to win the game here. I'm still going San Francisco 49ers by 3 points. I'll go 27-24 San Francisco. They come back to the Super Bowl from 3 years ago. I think 49ers, like I said, they just have so many star talent here. Now, it could definitely backfire 100%. I just think, stylistic, matching up, I think San Francisco has a slight edge. I mean, you can't put a linebacker on McCaffrey. You can't put a linebacker on Deebo. Who are you going to double? Deebo? Okay, what about Kittle? There's just so many things where it's like, man, there's so much to do if you're Philadelphia Eagles defense. And you got to put pressure on Brock Purdy. That's the thing. But I'm going San Francisco, 27-24, the final score. And the 49ers go to the Super Bowl. And I think Philadelphia, nothing to hang their hats on. The Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team just yet. I could be completely wrong. Absolutely. I just think right now the Philadelphia Eagles, who they're matched up against, it's not in their advantage right now. So I'm going the San Francisco 49ers by 3 points over the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't wait for the NFC Championship. It's going to be a heck of a game. And then we got the AFC Championship game. The Cincinnati Bengals going into Kansas City Chiefs just like they did last year. And what happened last year? The Kansas City Chiefs went for it in the first half with like 5 seconds left, and they failed to do it. Instead of kick the field goal. Anyway, they end up losing 24-27 in the playoffs last year against Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes in his career. That is pretty crazy to me, dude. Joe Burrow kind of is like, hey, I think for right now, for Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs, the line's been moving. A couple days ago, it was 2.5 points or 1.5 points. Cincinnati Bengals were favorite. Now all of a sudden, the Kansas City Chiefs are favorite by 1.5. I think for Patrick Mahomes, this is one of his most important games of his career. I think this is a legacy game. You cannot lose to Joe Burrow, and be an 0-4 versus Joe Burrow. I think Patrick Mahomes, this is a huge game. I want to go Kansas City. I want to see Kansas City win this game, but I'm looking at their defense, and the red zone defense is trash this year. I would say it's a top 5 bottom of the NFL this year in red zone defense, so that's a huge factor for me. If you can't stop, the Cincinnati Bengals or any other team in the red zone, you're going to be screwed. You got to force Cincinnati Bengals to kick field goals and not capitalize on touchdowns in the red zone, and Kansas City's just not good on them. I mean, they've averaged teams have averaged about 20 points a game against Kansas City's defense. Whereas, we go to the Bengals, and they've only given up about 13.5 points a game, average about 26 points per game, whereas Kansas City averages about 29 points per game. And Mahomes is going to do his thing. He's going to throw it to his boy, Travis Kelce. I would bet that Travis Kelce has at least 1+ touchdown this game. I think he's going to get up 10+ targets. I think they're going to have to double Travis, maybe even triple team Travis Kelce and take him out of the game because, who else do they have? I mean, yes, they have some star talent, but obviously losing Tyreek Hill to me really hurt the Kansas City Chiefs. I think if Tyreek Hill was on that squad right now, imagine that. Imagine if Tyreek Hill was still on Kansas City, dude. I would definitely roll with Kansas City. But right now, for me, I think I'm going to go Bengals here. I'm going to go the 2 dogs right now in these games, which I can be completely wrong. But I think the Bengals with Joe Burrow. I mean, we saw last weekend 2 touchdowns, 242 yards passing versus the Buffalo Bills. Then you got Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, who had a touchdown last week. Joe Mixon over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown last week versus the Bills in that playoff victory. Then you got T. Higgins. There's so many things that the Cincinnati Bengals can do, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win in a very close one, just like they did last time by like a field goal, something like that. Now, on the flip side, I want to see Kansas City win. I mean, why? Because I like Patrick Mahomes, what he's done for the NFL. Coming from Texas Tech, nobody's really heard of him. I mean, I could say that about Joe Burrow, right? He went to Ohio State, didn't really play. Then he went to LSU and then became who Joe Burrow is right now. And probably right now, I think the Bengals are probably one of the scariest teams in the NFL remaining right now. I just think what Joe Burrow does in the pocket, really calm, cool, collective, just has no fear, really. And he just plays great, man. He just plays nice. And I think the Bengals just have the slight edge right now. And I'm betting against Kansas City, not because of Patrick Mahomes and the offense. I'm betting against Kansas City because of their defense and special teams. And I've seen so many games this year with Kansas City. I mean, they played against the Houston Texans, barely beat them. There's just a lot of teams where they give up big games. You know, big yardage, even runs. They're going to have to stop Joe Mixon. I think it's going to be really a trial for Kansas City to stop them on defense. I really do. I'm betting against Kansas City's defense, and I just don't think Kansas City has that type of caliber Super Bowl winning defense. So I think the Bengals are going to win this game, and I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to do his thing. Even though he did have a high ankle sprain last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's going to come back 100%. Yes, he will. I'm just saying, like, Kansas City's defense, I'm just not sold on. I'm not sold on, so I'm going to bet against them because I just don't see it in them. I really don't. So I like the Bengals in this matchup, in this AFC Championship game, even though Kansas City's 1.5-point favorites. I mean, this is a rematch from last year, and this is going to be another classic game. And this is why I think this is the last game of this AFC Championship in this weekend because you know what happened last year. I mean, Kansas City really should have won that game last year. They got outcoached, they got outplayed, and made some big mistakes in the later stages of the game. So I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes and saying this is a legacy game for him. If Patrick Mahomes balls out with 4 or 5 touchdowns here and they win in overtime or win by a game-winning field goal, I'm going to say, hey, that's kind of what I expected from Mahomes. This is a legacy game for him. So much pressure is on Patrick Mahomes right here. You do not want to lose to Joe Burrow 4 times and get out of the Super Bowl, which you probably should have made the Super Bowl last year, and they lost to and we saw the Bengals lose to the LA Rams. But I think this year, man, the Kansas City, it's a legacy game for Mahomes. I don't want to put all the pressure on Mahomes, but there's so much pressure on Mahomes right now. To whereas Joe Burrow, there's not as much. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl last year, had a couple plays away from winning a Super Bowl. I mean, and we saw him win in LSU a college national championship. So I think, he's a winner. And same thing with Patrick Mahomes, nothing to take away. I just think Kansas City's defense is not there. It's just not. So I'm going to go Cincinnati Bengals. I'll go 28-24. The Cincinnati Bengals prevail in Kansas City, in Arrowhead. I think this is going to be great, but I want to see Kansas City win. I really do. I'm rooting for Patrick Mahomes. I really am. I just want to see Kansas City win. I love it, but I'm going Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game, and then we got the Super Bowl, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the San Francisco 49ers. That'd be great. I mean, it'd be awesome if we saw San Francisco versus Kansas City, the rematch from a couple years ago, but that was around when Jimmy G was there starting quarterback. But I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait for this weekend, for this conference championship in this playoffs this year in 2023. It's been great. What a freaking season. And it's really sad that it's coming to an end soon, but it's been a great season, and these last 4 teams are in. Am I surprised, really, with these last 4 teams? No, I'm not. I thought Kansas City was going to be there, and I thought Cincinnati was going to be there. I thought Philly was going to be there, and I really thought San Francisco was going to be there. None of this really surprises me. With the best teams have made it so far, so this is great. Even though I would love to see Jacksonville prevail over Kansas City last weekend, but it's going to be awesome. I'm going San Francisco in a nail-biter in Philly, even though a lot of people are leaning more towards Philly with Jalen Hurts in the season they have, which I understand, but I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers versus the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl in 2023, baby. What a season! It's the Connor with Cam Show! Let's go!